Welcome to the Invite Health podcast, where our degreed healthcare professionals are excited to offer you the most important health and wellness information you need to make informed choices about your health. You can learn more about the products discussed in each of these episodes and all that Invite Health has to offer at www.invitehealth.com/podcast. First-time customers can use promo code podcast at checkout for an additional 15% off your first purchase. Let's get started.
A few years back, I wrote an article that was titled, "What's All the Buzz About Hemp Oil?" And I went into some of the details of the endocannabinoid system and the utilization of CBD coming from hemp oil and how that could be beneficial for different aspects of human health and much of the clinical research that continues to go on with CBDs and different health conditions. So today I want to kind of revisit that because I get a lot of questions on CBDs. And should I use a CBD if I have anxiety? Should I use CBD for if I have a lot of pain because of arthritis? Should I use CBD for sleep? So I want to talk about some of the science that shows just how powerful that can be when it comes to helping to support our natural endocannabinoid system and go into the details on why someone may consider using a hemp-based product. So I'm Amanda Williams, MD, MPH, and let's get right to it. Let's talk about cannabidiol. It's been definitely all the buzz in the last probably 5 years. What we know is that this is a natural non-psychotropic chemical, and it is derived directly from the hemp plant. We know that hemp does many different things, and when it comes to our health, we certainly can see the impact that hemp oil can actually have. So it works in a sense by enhancing the normal receptors that are found throughout the body. The body has an endogenous system that is known as the endocannabinoid system. So this is not something that we just make up. This is something that actually exists. And the endocannabinoid system plays a function in things like our appetite and our sleep cycle and our overall metabolism and energy when it comes to fertility, for example, as well as for cognition and memory and focus. So with all systems in the human body, if the endocannabinoid system is not working adequately, say it's lacking its own natural endocannabinoids to bind onto, then we can start to see problems. And hence, this is why when people utilize cannabidiol coming from hemp oil, they can oftentimes see many of these positive health outcomes when it comes to the promotion of better sleep quality, when it comes to the lessening of the sense of low mood and anxiety, for example. So we know that the endocannabinoid system is very important when it comes to day-to-day human body functions. Now, the question that often comes up is, well, is cannabidiol coming from the hemp oil the same as THC that people will find in marijuana? No, it is not. THC is the psychoactive compound that is found in the marijuana plant, which is cannabis sativa. Now, hemp is the non-psychoactive compound that is derived from the hemp plant. So there are major differences between looking at cannabidiol and looking at THC. So when we look at all of the health benefits that come down to the hemp oil itself, most of that focus is in that lane of cannabidiol or the CBDs themselves. We can see the science becoming more and more diverse as time is going on, and understanding that through our endogenous endocannabinoid system and its ability to help regulate so many functions in the body, including the central nervous system, and how we are responding every single day to different environmental triggers, for example. This is why CBD has been shown to be a very novel agent in helping our bodies manage these things. I want to talk about a study that was published in the Journal of the American Pharmacists Association back in 2003, looking at the use of cannabidiol in anxiety and anxiety-related disorders. And they were proposing that cannabidiol, or CBD, has this very novel way for managing anxiety because of the fact that its actions that it can take within the endogenous endocannabinoid system. Remember, you have all these different receptors throughout the body that are helping the body with regulation of energy and mood. And when we don't have adequate cannabidiol in the body and we then replenish that, we can start to see how things function better. So this is what they were specifically looking at. And they looked at multiple randomized controlled trials that examined the impact and the role of CBD in the setting of anxiety. And what they were able to conclude after doing this assessment of these clinical research trials was that CBD has a promising role as an alternative therapy in the management of anxiety disorders. So we kind of default back and we say, okay, well, it makes sense because it's like with anything in the body. If we have something that's naturally occurring and through the aging process, through a disease state, through stress, whatever be the case, that level starts to go down, we fall more into an insufficiency or a deficiency, then the answer to that is to build that back up or to replenish that. And we can look at all different things. We can look at digestive enzymes playing a role into this. We can look at coenzyme Q10. We know that as we get older, our body doesn't make those as efficiently. Well, the same thing is said true when we look at the endocannabinoid system in the human body. If the body doesn't have adequate amounts of its own cannabidiol, then you're going to see that impact. So it may present in the setting of you have pain. It may present in disrupted sleep. It may present in anxiety. So there's a lot of, it could be low energy states. So we know that there are many different ways to which CBD coming from that hemp has been shown to be a potential treatment, especially in the setting of anxiety. Now, in the Journal of Neurotherapeutics, they look at the use of CBD as a treatment option for different neuropsychiatric disorders, including anxiety. And so they were looking at generalized anxiety, panic disorders, obsessive compulsive, PTSD, and how the CBD had this anxiolytic property to it. So how is it working? It's going in and it was allowing our natural endocannabinoid system to have something to hold on to within that receptor site. And they said this has considerable potential as a treatment for all of these broad spectrum anxiety disorders. And then we can look at it in the setting of pain and inflammation. In the Journal of Cell Death and Disease, they looked at how CBD really played a profound impact on the regulation of inflammation in the setting of rheumatoid arthritis. So we know that people who have rheumatoid arthritis, they are definitely more prone to high levels of inflammation that is brought on by their own immune system going into an attack mode. So they wanted to assess this. They said, well, if we can replenish the cannabidiol within the endocannabinoid system in the body, would this help with down-regulating much of this autoimmune inflammatory release that is occurring? And through this particular study, they were looking at all of these different pro-inflammatory markers in the body, and then looking at once they started to give people who had rheumatoid arthritis cannabidiol, the CBD, they could see this anti-arthritic activity that was occurring. So it was helping to lessen the inflammation, promoting healthier immune response. So that study is kind of where we're going in terms of the future of CBD research, understanding how many areas in the body the endocannabinoid system is really impacting and influencing. Now, we can look at this even in the setting of cardiovascular disease. And in the International Journal of Molecular Science, they looked at this. They were looking at if CBD would have any type of a positive effect when it comes to cardiovascular health. And we know that there are many people who are dealing with lower cardiovascular health because of other disease states. So it can be diabetes, for example, where we know that that can really worsen the condition of the cardiovascular system. People who have chronic kidney disease or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, we know that their cardiovascular system will also be impacted by this. So they were looking at the many positive effects that CBD could have. So they were looking at things like cardiomyopathy and inflammation within the heart and seeing how the CBD was actually, once again, lessening that inflammation and heightening the body's ability to fend off a lot of the oxidative stress and those inflammatory processes that were occurring. So the future of CBD is definitely moving forward in terms of its many different human health benefits. I get a lot of questions on this as to, if I should use a hemp-based product, and if so, how much do I use? Do I use something that's sublingual? Do I use something that's topical? This is when I advise that you reach out to one of our nutritional experts. They understand the science of the cannabidiol and which particular products would be most beneficial to suit whatever your needs are, whether it's geared towards sleep or anxiety or inflammation. So definitely reach out to them. They can get you on the right path to wellness when it comes to supporting your own endocannabinoid system. So that's all that I have for you for today. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the Invite Health podcast. Remember, you can find all of our episodes for free wherever you listen to podcasts or by visiting invitehealth.com/podcast. Do make sure that you subscribe and you leave us a review. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and we will see you next time for another episode of the Invite Health podcast.